So I was planning on doing a video on whether it was okay for an older man to date a much younger woman. And I was going to take the position that it's not advisable. Not that it's morally wrong, but that for practical reasons, it's just not a good idea. And I had, a list of reasons why that was so. But when I really explored it more further, I came to the conclusion that my argument was weak. And so I looked into it further. I went online, checked out other people's videos and opinions on the topic. And I've kind of changed my tune on the whole topic. So I can't do that video that I initially intended on doing. I mean, the reality is, you can get into the problems of what may arise from that kind of relationship. But the same problems can arise in any relationship. Like, for example, I was going to bring up the objection that there's a high probability of failure with a younger man and a much older, a younger woman and a much older man. And but I would say that's the case with every relationship, that there's a high probability of failure, and especially these days. I mean, look at marriage. It's a 50-50 toss of the coin whether your marriage is going to succeed. And so, and there's other objections that I was going to talk about: the generation gap, emotional maturity, all of that stuff, and it just didn't wash out. I mean, it didn't. So there wasn't a solid argument there. And so I've come to realize, and I don't think I should be too surprised about this, because I actually was involved with a much younger woman many years ago. And there was, the relationship went on for just under a year. It was more physically involved than it was emotionally or anything else. But I can't say it was a bad relationship or there was, head games or anything going on. She had just turned 20, but she was quite mature for her age, and she understood completely what she was, getting involved with. And so, and when we parted ways, it was pretty much mutual. There was nothing, dramatic about it. So, I'm surprised that I guess maybe what, where when you think of the older man going after the younger woman, you're thinking, you kind of get this image of these guys going to the Philippines, these, 50-year-old men going to the Philippines and looking for young teenage girls that they can have sex with and take advantage of. And, giving them the false hope that they would take them back to their homeland and offer them a wonderful life, and it never happens. So that's kind of, you get this idea of the dirty old man taking advantage of the young, naive woman. And, from what I've seen on, some of the testimonies that I watched on YouTube, actually, what these women were sharing about their experiences with older men were quite positive. It was quite an enriching experience for them. But not every old man is a good candidate for a much younger woman. And I think there are certain specific things, certain characteristics that an older man needs to have in order to be a good suit for a younger woman. And I would say, some of the things that I know that came up when these women were talking about older men that they dated was they appreciated the experience that these old men had, their general life experience, their worldliness, their knowledge, their wisdom, and even sexually, they seemed to be more experienced and better understood the female body. And so sex was better. These men tend to be more confident. They know what they want, and they're direct. They're not, playing head games here. And financial stability is another one, although I don't think that's so much a big deal anymore when a lot of younger women are, building their own careers and are in many cases doing much better than men these days. So I think that one it's going to be less significant, except for it is, I think there is still an important factor there in the sense that it demonstrates a man's success in life and his status in the world. And that's an important factor for a younger woman looking to be with an older man. And just a general maturity, which is more along the line of a father figure. And not all women are after the father figure, and not all women that are after the father figure are coming from a background where they didn't have that in their lives. In fact, some women have had wonderful fathers, and yet there's something that they find, there's a certain level of security and comfort that they find in that kind of maturity. But ultimately, it's about, the older man being the alpha male, the dominant figure. He's in command, he's in control of his life, he's financially stable, he's confident, and that is very attractive to a lot of young women. And it's just something that they can't get in a man their age or close to their age. And so this is what they're looking for. And not all women, and not all young women. I'm just, there is just a certain group of young women, for whatever reason, this is what they're attracted to. And it enables them, to experience life on, a different plane altogether, which they wouldn't get if they were to date somebody their own age. And so, is that wrong? Is it wrong for that to take place? And I don't think so. But, and so I guess what is clear here, for me anyways, is that the kind of women, the kind of men that young women are looking for, in this case, is the sort of the older man alpha male. And if you don't have that as an older, like I'm 55 years old, but I'm not an alpha male, so that kind of excludes me from that, from being a good candidate for a much younger woman. Now, it also, there's a criteria here though for younger women, like what an older man may be looking for in a younger woman. And again, it's, every man is different. But I think, I'm just trying to think of it. If I were an alpha male, an older man, alpha male, with all these characteristics, I was looking for a younger woman to share my life with, there's certain things that I would want. And first of all, mental and emotional stability would be top of the list. Not that I, would expect a young woman to not occasionally have an emotional meltdown. I mean, it's not like that, but it's where there's an emotional instability and mental instability that could be a liability that would be harmful against me personally. That's the kind of thing I would want to avoid like the plague. Another thing is a certain level of education. Now, I'm sure there are some men that like their women to be really simple, but I think if I were the old man alpha male, I would want a certain level of intelligence there. And cultural refinement. Not that I would want a princess necessarily, but somebody, in fact, I would even find a young woman who's on the bohemian kind of hippie side. I would even find that attractive, but I would like to know that I could take her to a high-end establishment, like a really nice restaurant, and not be worried about being embarrassed. So there's that. And then, this would not be such a big issue for me, but I think for a lot of older men that are alpha males, exceptional beauty would be an important factor here, that they're looking for something physically special. And so as a young woman, don't think that just because you've got perky breasts and a young vagina, that's all you need to be able to get one of these mature alpha males. You got to have something more than that going for you. But there is a place in society for this kind of relationship. I think that's pretty clear. Whether we like it or not, as a society, it doesn't matter. These relationships will continue. They've been around for centuries, and they will continue to be a part of the fabric of our civilization.